There's a new event called Scarlet Reminiscence before the expedition. This is based off of the movie that's coming out, so I got no clue what this is about. Oh wait, I guess that's all the luggage I'll need. I mean, it's not like I'll be staying there long. That being said, whether I can come back safely or not will be a matter of luck. The royal family can use the magic powers of the terrier to neutralize the pollution from the mines and protect the people from its poison. But in exchange, they are poisoned by the curse placed on the terrier. Still, if we don't mine gold, we can't import food and we can't feed our people. But we mustn't let Her Majesty put herself through any more pain. Then how about we cultivate the forest of Jura? Cultivate that forest. We can be self-sufficient. The people can cultivate the fields, and the soldiers and I can go out hunting. Don't be stupid. Violating the forest protected by the storm dragon Valdora would be insane. So you are saying that Her Majesty should keep on suffering that like she is now? You don't think that's insane? Chancellor Rimuru, perhaps, if we are honest with him, he may allow us to cultivate some of the land there. I hear that the nation takes in all sorts of monsters. I shall be the envoy to Tempest. You won't say no to that, will you? But be very careful. I don't want you to find yourself in the snake pit, okay? Besides, I'm going to see a dragon. I have no business with snakes. Will I encounter a good-hearted ogre or devious snake? It would be so much better if it was an ogre. But our village is no longer. Your Majesty, you must rest. I heard from Mobji that you were heading to Tempest in order to get permission to cultivate the forest of Jura. Yeah, I'll be sure to get permission so that our people can eat. So please just rest, Your Majesty. It's all my fault that you have to meet such a dangerous storm dragon. It's not your fault. I'm doing it for you and for the entire nation, for everyone who saved my life. Besides, I've heard that Chancellor Rimuru is a reasonable monster. I'm a monster myself, so he's bound to at least let me negotiate with him. Still, I don't want you to go at the risk of your own life. Your Majesty, remember when you told me that you wanted me to live the life that I wanted? I want you to live freely, and that is why if there is a risk of death, I do not want you to. The expedition is something I'm doing on my own accord. That's the honest truth. I just can't bear to continue living without showing my gratitude to everyone. Your Majesty, rather than trying to prevent me from going, could you pray for my safety instead? I promise to return soon. Prayer alone is not enough to save everyone. You should know that more than anyone else. You are talking about our village, huh? I didn't mean to bring back memories of your past, but no, it's not. It's a good opportunity. I want to tell you about something that happened in our beautiful village before it was destroyed. Just how much the village power of prayer saved me. Oh, on that day, we were talking about going on an expedition just like today. It's a silly story, but hear me out. It must be difficult for him to look back on his days in the village, and yet he's being cheerful for my sake. There was a farewell party before my men and I were set to leave, and our holy princess, who was the daughter of our chief, was supposed to give our prayer for us, but there was a slight mishap. I was going on an expedition to try and make some dough as a mercenary, but I wasn't really sure who else to take with me. Since I was the strongest youth in my village, it was decided that I would go. Of course, I chose to go on my own accord, but the other guys weren't necessarily suitable. I had to choose someone who was willing to come along and was also strong enough to be a mercenary. Long story short, were plenty of men who wanted to join me, so much so that I had to decide who I should leave behind. Some of the guys were my childhood friends who looked up to me and called me brother. They wanted to come along, but they were simply too young. I wanted them to stay in the village and keep training so that they could protect the young master and our princess. Shoot, I forgot that no one in the village had names back then. It's a bit inconvenient when it comes to telling the story. Could you just tell me the characteristics then? Okay, one childhood friend I mentioned was Black Hair, who was a craftsman. The second was Blue Hair, who was good at espionage. Then there was a purple hair woman with incredible strength. And finally there was the young master, who was the chief's son and heir, and his younger sister, Princess. Naturally, both young master and princess had to remain in the village. As for the other guys, I wanted them to hone their talents in order to be able to protect the dynasty. So first I called for blue hair and purple hair. Oh, so it's about almost like the past the movie will be about? I don't know. I get that he's meeting his childhood friend and that, but what's the whole plot behind this story? Lifting the coast? So is it then the rumor going to go to Hero Village and try and lift the coast then? Is that the whole plot and premise behind the movie? I don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully. The man they called my brother. Normally the youngsters were taught how to fight by old man who was the strongest in our village, but I had a different idea. You told me that you were the strongest among the youngsters, but this old man, he was way stronger than me, a beast of a man. In fact, he trained me all throughout my childhood. I see it there. Oh, it seems that your speed in pursuing me has increased. Very well, I shall tone my footwork up a notch. I missed. You can go even faster. You're an old man. You're basically a ghost. Well, apologies if my hands slip and you end up a ghost before I do. Gobta, when will you learn? Now we gotta keep up with that incredible speed. He sure likes to give us one difficult challenge after another. Well, I guess that means we'll get stronger with each one. You guys are still at it. You guys were taking so long to come back, so I came to check up on you. As you can see, they may whine a lot, but they have plenty of determination. I can't help but get excited when I train them. It does seem like they can withstand your harsh training for longer than before. I don't know if getting hurt like this counts as withstanding. You know, the way they keep getting up to challenge you again and again, it reminds me of back when the ogre village still existed. There was a young man who was the strongest in the village, even stronger than you. He was way stronger than me. Someone that talented. He and I knew each other since we were kids, and just like you guys say, we kept on challenging Haku. No, we didn't. He didn't have a name back then, so we just called him Old Man. Haku may have evolved now, but his training back then was just grueling as it is today. Everyone else would run out of steam, but this guy, he just kept. Hold on a second. What? I'm sure the monsters have no problem identifying each other without names, but as a human, it's really confusing for me listening to a story featuring characters referred to as this guy. I guess you're right. Okay, the guy I was telling you about used to be called brother by everyone. Let me guess, he wasn't an actual big brother to anyone by blood, right? Yeah, he was a brother to us in a figurative way. I used to have him train me all the time. I guess my basic moves are all largely influenced by him. Now that you say that, I totally get it. The first time we met Benimaru and the others, we got into a fight due to a misunderstanding, but the fighting styles were all different all that time. Different at that time. Even the weapons and moves, now that I think about it, that was odd. You use different weapons and move depending on your physiques, right? No, if Benimaru and Shion were trained only by master, they would both be using a sword. I use this short sword because I'm small, while Yam and Kingaza use this long sword. Even if your physiques are different, if learning swordsmanship, you just pick a sword with a length that suits your size. But Benimaru was using fire and Shion was using an iron club, so that means that the Ogre village had another trainer besides Master. And that trainer was him. How's that for a good detective look? How rare of you to show such insight. If only you were always like that, things would be so much easier for you. Yeah, I don't like that smug look on your face, but it's just as you guessed, Gobta. The reason Shion and I have different fighting styles is largely because of brother. Before he left the village to become a mercenary, he tried to find fighting styles that would suit those of us who were going to remain in the village, and he tried to help us develop our skills. That being said, he was originally trained by Haku, or so Haku's teaching remained the basis of our moves. All I did was sow the seeds, what one learns from me and how one works that training into one's moves is all down to the individual's own effort, and he trained harder and put in more effort than anyone else. Like I said earlier, he never complained once while taking on Haku's challenges. I can see how someone would challenge Master over and over again, but without complaining once, that's pretty impressive. Can I hear more about this guy? I'm curious, seeing as we are both apprentices. I want to hear too. There's a perfect tree stump right here, so I'll sit down and listen. You just want to take a rest. Be easy on him, Haku. I'm feeling nostalgic, so I don't mind. Let me tell you a funny story about the day before he left the village. What? That picture looks like Benimaru fates him. Huh. I wonder what happens. Did I not click it? Okay, there we go. But those torn enemies now, eh? I got no clue. When does it come out? When does it come out? And then they also announced season 3 of Rimuru Tempest Slime. So I can't wait for that either. I'm so excited. Blue-haired and purple-haired. One day, brother summoned the then nameless Sue, and Shion to the mountains. He wanted to determine those strong points. Blue hair and purple hair, like I said earlier, one was good at espionage, and the other had amazing brute strength. Swiftness versus might. It's not like one was better than the other, and I had them fight it out. I had them spar a couple of times in different locations on grass, on a rocky hill. in the thickly wooded forest and even in the wetlands. Since they had completely different fighting styles, I wanted to see how they could make use of the geographical advantages in each location. 2 wins each, huh? I've got the upper hand when it comes to the forest and rocky hills, where there are plenty of obstacles. As for me, I have the upper hand in places like that have good visibility, where I can use all my strength without holding back. Knowing your enemy and understanding yourself is the first step rule of combat. You both have the ability to observe your enemies, but you look within yourselves. You still need a third party like me, right? He's determining which battlefields bring out the best in us. That must mean Brother's probably going to ask us to join him as mercenaries later. Let's just pretend to focus on training, or else he may change his mind. You think so? Since you're dexterous, how about using 2 swords? You should work on extending your sword too. If you go through this forest towards the west, you should find a rare spider building its web. When did you find something like that? Always keep your eyes open, being aware of which creatures exist where is an opponent part of surviving. That spider's exoskeleton would make a good blade, and its thread would give you good grip for the handle. I'd say it is the perfect material for a second sword. Why don't you go hunt it? Dual swords, huh? Okay, I'll go to get the materials. Do you have any advice for me? Of course, having watched you fight. Well, I already knew this about you before, but you sure are strong. Obviously. No, that's not all. Not only do you have arm strength, but you have got the leg strength to stand firm and good hip rotation. You are basically blessed with excellent core strength. Let's see. Yeah, you should use a long club with a lump of iron at its end. Normally, a weapon's center of gravity would be closer to the handle, but it is if it were near the end, it would feel really heavy. But with your strength, wait, I better go get lots of iron ore. There's probably some over at the rocky hill. Okay, I'm off. She's gone already. She jumps around like oil in a hot pan. I wanted them to make weapons that would be best suited for their own abilities, so that they could help protect the village, and so I sent them off to gather materials. Someday, when this nation is revitalized and we can increase our armaments for defense, I hope that you shall gladly be an instructor or in charge of procuring weapons or whatever else. After all, I chose to serve you and this nation. Hero. Hello. How do you say his name? What? The film is slated to release sometime in November. This month? The month is basically over, so how is it gonna get released? The last day of the month? I don't know. Huh. Well, is it already out? Fuck, I don't know. I haven't seen it already out, so hopefully not. Red hair, young master. Brother Asu and Shion to gather the materials for the weapons, and everything seemed to be going fine. However, knowing this is a funny story and that Shion's involved, I can already kind of guess where this is going. But my timing was kind of bad too. You see, that day I had asked brother to train me like usual. Back then, after training with me, young master would immediately start training on his own so that he didn't lose his touch. How much stamina do you have? No wonder you were next in line as chief of the ogres. It's just that I was under a lot of pressure back then. I thought that if I was going to be the chief one day, then I needed to train Trace as hard as everyone else. That's why I literally trained Trace. On top of that, I was young and immature. Whenever I went to see brother, I tried my best not to show that I was tired. But every time, you are barely breathing. Come on, don't push yourself. Young master was desperately trying to seem tough, so if I didn't say something to him, he would overexert himself. I think I kind of understand how the young master must have felt, though. I bet you do. You are both in similar positions, and you both push yourself too hard. In fact, I bet you were out of breath when you got here too, your Majesty. I was just a little dizzy, which is a sign that you need to rest. He was the same. Young master wouldn't listen when I'd tell him to take a rest either. I would always end up having to train him. Anyway, I got so busy training with him that I forgot all about blue hair and purple hair, and that led to a misunderstanding. Where's brother? It's almost sunset. He's probably training with young master right now. It's usually around this time of the day. But I wanted to show him the materials we gathered. It doesn't matter, we have got the materials, so let's just start making the weapons on our own. You are right, we should make them while he's not here and surprise him. Whatever, come on, I'm sure our friend will help us make good weapons. Did they go see the Black Hair, the craftsman? Yeah, they asked Black Hair to make the weapons while I was away, but boy did they get it wrong. These are some fine materials: better thread, extra skeleton, iron ore. Brother told you to gather all these. Yeah, he wants me to make another. How did he know? Oh, that long sword. Yeah, brother just asked me to take a look at it. The chief gave this sword to brother when he was little, but now that he's grown, he said that it needs the length and center of gravity adjusted. Why does brother always have to be so whereabouts? He should have just told us. I don't follow. Don't you get it? The iron ore and the thread for the handle, exoskeleton for the blade. Brother wanted us to gather the materials he needed to upgrade his own weapon. Told me to make a second sword. But he also said to extend your sword. It would be difficult to wield two swords if they were long, right? Your cone swords short, as in making it longer. And he was telling me to make a weapon with it that was heavier at the end. Remember, brother wants his long sword to be longer. Can't you see? Brother wants us to read between the lines. He wanted us to reforge his weapon. He's testing us to see if we can interpret things correctly. I think you're reading way too much into this. If this is also going to be a test to see if you guys can become mercenaries, I better not mess it up. I'll give you this everything I've got. I'm big. Isn't that enough, young master? Come on, let's call it a day. I'm not tired at all. I just need something sweet, and I'll be back in no time. You're still sucking on the nectar of those wild flowers around here, right? How did you know? When I went over that hill, I saw a whole bunch of wildflowers with the petals taken off. You sucked the nectar out of them, didn't you? You're lucky those flowers aren't lethal. Don't you remember getting a stomachache from sucking the nectar from a poisonous flower? I can't help it. It's not like there's any other way to find something sugary around here, and I know which ones are poisonous now. Sure, that sweetness can help alleviate exhaustion, but you are exhausted on the level that it can't be cured by licking some nectar. Just go home and get some rest. So what are you gonna do now, brother? I completely forgot I sent the two to go gather weapon materials, so I better go check up on them. Don't go scavenging for food, okay? Alright, I'll end it off here for now.